We're here with Ira Socol, who is the Assistant Director for Educational Technology and Innovation for Albemarle County, Virginia Public Schools. And uh, Ira and his colleagues are involved in some very broad change, particularly in regard to the use of technology, but change in general about education. Um, and Ira, you had described to me your office as a place committed to thinking about fundamental change in a diverse population. So maybe you can just give us the setting for what it is that you're doing, and then we can talk about what it is you are doing.
Well, Howard, we're sort of a classic southern school district in that we cover a whole county, 746 square miles on the edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. Our county line to the west is actually the Appalachian Trail. We have 26 schools um spread across this massive area. Our school buses cover 15,000 miles a day, to give you some sense of this. We have extreme wealth. We have people who play polo on a daily basis, and we have extreme rural poverty. We have urban poverty and suburban situations. We have this whole range of circumstances for our students. We we're trying to create a situation where we're rethinking what we sometimes refer to as zero-based design, where we're trying to rethink from the ground up what education looks like for our students. We come in knowing that traditionally education has succeeded for about one-third of students that really get the benefit of what's going on. So we talk a lot about disruptive innovation in the sense that how do we expand that market significantly, all the way from pre-K through 12 as our experience goes. And we're not trying to do this in a single charter or a single school. We have 14,000 students. We think every one of them deserves this same range of experience. We're doing this with a combination of changes in technology, changes in space and furniture, changes in pedagogy, changes in the organization of schools. We think those all go together. We want to be a whole lot less tied to the past, and we've been moving that way by rethinking what our sort of core beliefs that schools should do, and moving from there.
So what should schools do, and what are you changing toward?
Well, so 12 years ago, almost 13 years ago, teachers in this school division wrote what they call their lifelong learning competencies, and we've stuck with that. We call it our Common Core. And those are things like, how do you do research in your everyday life? How do you function as a citizen and as a person in society? How do you communicate across a broad range of circumstances with a broad range of people? There are 12 lifelong learning competencies that we think are, sort of essential to students be growing up to be successful adults. And that's become our driver. Those are not content-based situations. Content changes continuously. And students need to learn how to be learners, how to be an effective part of society, how to use the technologies of their world. That's what's really important. We'll get the content in. We're in Virginia, which tests kids almost more than any other state. We know we have to get that in, but that's not what drives us as important. So we've been playing with a whole range of changes to do things. On the technology side, we're both a BYOD school system from, at every age level, and we're building out a one-to-one program that pretty much starts in fourth grade, although in at least one school, elementary school, we have it going all the way down to kindergarten. So we sort of think of it almost as a 2-to-1. Many students will have 2 devices during their day, which is the way, adults in the world function. We want kids to adapt those devices. For example, every student is an administrator of their own one-to-one computer. They can add software, they can download whatever they want, they can change the format of things. We think that's really essential to them learning to be responsible users of technology. We filter as little as we legally can because, again, we think the best filter is the filter in your head. It's not what we can limit you to. We're trying to change our school environments, which is a whole nother technology. So we will never again buy less than 3 different kinds of classroom or in a single learning space. We want kids to make choices all the time in everything they do. We're building out, schedules that offer more choices. We're trying to get kids into engineering and making at every grade and everything, and not as separate Google time or something like that, but as an essential part of every day, because we think that kind of hands-on learning is crucial. We're a universal design system. We believe that we need to give kids the opportunity to solve their issues, whether they are labeled as having special needs or not. So it's a wide range of things that even reaches to unscheduling some schools to an extent. So kids have many more choices of where to go. I jokingly said to one visitor one time that I measure the health of the school by how many kids were sort of wandering the hallways. And that's not a joke. It means that kids are trusted to do things and to go where they need to go. We have libraries, that include everything from music studios to small engine repair, anything that brings kids in. We'll do whatever we need to do to keep kids engaged and excited. And the end result is we have a 1.4% dropout rate that we're pretty proud of. It means we're keeping kids in school because the schools are places they want to be.
So, in regard to technology, in addition to access to the devices, what kind of practices would you point out as being particularly successful for your program?
Well, we're really thrilled by the use of, shared documents and things. I think so far this year, our students have created over 140,000 Google documents. They're learning how to use them and share them at every age group, and how to edit each other's work, how to share continuous stuff. We use a lot of social media in our classrooms. Most of our elementary classrooms have classroom Twitter accounts. Most kids at the secondary level have them too. We do a lot of use of as Twitter as a primary communication device in our schools. We scaffold that with things like Today's Meet that, sort of Twitter on training wheels to get kids going with it, and with the classroom account. So kids are wondering. Our kindergarten teachers even have a Kinder Challenge most days where different kindergarten classrooms challenge each other on Twitter to do different things. Our high school principals usually, get a lot of feedback from students via Twitter all day long. We have, we use a lot of, free and open source software and systems to support a whole range of things. One of the things we say about our one-to-one computers is there's never just one way of doing anything on the computers we give kids. There's 2, usually 4 different ways of doing things because we want kids to try and learn and test things out. We're seeing, we also do a great deal of 3D printing. We probably have 50 or 60 3D printers out in our schools. So kids are they're not going to Thingiverse, they're designing things at every grade level in 123 CAD and things like that, and printing things out so that they're learning spatial relationships, they're learning how math really works in a real environment. Like I said, we're doing a lot of music engineering at a bunch of levels. We're trying to just make it all work with the technologies that are there for kids. We just have a thing where we have a whole 4th and 5th grade cohort at one of our elementary schools, a rural sort of mountain holler elementary school, but they're all working with Arduinos. And, you know, it's remarkable to see.
So,
They're just living up to it.
what advice would you have for other educators and administrators and educational technologists who are inspired by what you have to say and want to try to do it themselves, but of course there are obstacles and opposition? Um, how to get started?
Well, you know, you have to start by trusting your students a whole bunch more. We've tried to take the reins off, and we've never been disappointed in that. If you look at failures of one-to-one, whether it's Los Angeles or other places, it's, you know, when people give out devices that they don't let kids control, then the device doesn't belong to the student, and they don't care about it. Our students care about their devices because they're really the effective owners of them. So the first thing is, you know, trust and take the reins off. The other thing is, it's a little harder for technologists, but try to create the environment that the world uses right now. So we support in our system 5 different operating systems. You know, we have Windows 8, we have the Mac OS, we have Android, we have iOS, and we have Chrome. Kids will use different devices for different things. They'll make different choices. That's an essential learning experience. We have choices of browsers on everything. We have choices of text-to-speech systems. We're always, I think, people have to think of what are the choices, what do kids really have to learn about technologies. One of the key things is we've decided that we're educators, and if kids are going to make mistakes with technology, we want them making the mistakes when they're with us, and we can help them and work with them and get past it. We don't want them making the mistakes when they're 20 and they're going to go to jail for things they did. You know, we'd rather keep that in. That's our job. We want our kids to be okay and to learn the stuff with us. I think if you think of every technology, everything kids do with technology as an educational opportunity, you'll make different choices than if you think of it as something that has to be controlled every minute.
Wonderful. This is, I think, both inspirational and will be helpful for people trying to replicate what you're doing. So good luck and thank you.
Thank you, Howard.